Hello, and thanks for joining us for another episode of The Director's Cut, brought to you by the Directors Guild of America, where each episode we bring you a fresh and insightful interview featuring one of the film industry's top directors, conducted by one of their peers. You can subscribe to our podcast on Google Play Music, iTunes, Stitcher, or on our SoundCloud page at soundcloud.com/thedirectorscut. And if you're enjoying The Director's Cut, please take a moment to like, share, or comment. We love hearing your feedback. This episode takes us behind the scenes of director Benny Boom's newest film, All Eyez on Me, which tells the true story of Tupac Shakur, the prolific rapper, actor, poet, and activist. Starting with his early days in New York City, the feature charts Shakur's meteoric rise and ultimate transformation into a cultural icon, whose legacy remains vibrant long after his untimely death at the age of 25. In addition to All Eyez on Me, Mr. Boom's credits include the feature films Next Day Air and 48 Hours to Live, the movie for television Dice City, episodes of the television series Tales, Empire, NCIS Los Angeles, and Access Granted, and numerous music videos and shorts. Following a recent screening of the film at the DGA Theater in Los Angeles, Mr. Boom spoke with director Jeff Byrd about making All Eyez on Me. During their conversation, Mr. Boom discusses how he convincingly portrayed Atlanta as New York and LA during filming, his considerations while tackling a complex figure in a biopic, and his desire to tell the story with an intimate camera to contrast with the larger-than-life figure of Tupac Shakur.
Gonna work it out. So congratulations.
Thank you.
27 point, how many million? Or 30 million? Was 30 million last weekend?
It was like 27.
It was 27.1 I saw, but that was an early prediction.
Yeah, it was like 28 or something.
Yeah,
like
so I think the end of it was like 28, 29.
Yeah.
So opening weekend, you were number 3.
Yeah, behind
so it was
Cars and Wonder Woman still.
Cars and Wonder Woman and All Eyez on Me.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I've known Benny since he was
forever.
Since he was like
Benny,
Benny,
in the business.
Not Boom, but it was like Benny Snap, and I've known him since then, and he's always been a go-getter. I mean, I remember when Benny used to PA and be on he'd be on our sets. I'd direct a video or F. Gary Gray or Hype. He'd be on our sets, and he'd always get assigned to the talent.
Yeah,
and in those rooms when he was with the talent, the next video that was happening, Benny would get that one.
Yeah.
Because he was able to talk to the talent, and he was always good at that. And we'd love him for it. We'd be like, yo, Benny got that video next week, the one we were going to do. So we loved it. So anyway, now Tupac. Love it. So listen, man, talk to me. Talk to me about this film, first and foremost. Talk to me about how it came about for you.
Yeah.
And, regardless of, controversy and everything else, I mean, because first of all, he was a controversial figure.
Oh, my God, yeah.
So you had to know he was going to be controversial coming into it.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your feeling? Give me everything from that side.
It was, I got the call for it the day before Thanksgiving of 2015. The producers had gone through a few other directors to get to the point they were at, and a few writers, as you can see, it's a lot of stuff to tell, and we only told a certain part of his life. We told his whole life, but just a very particular story of his. And so when I got the call, it was like, whoa, are you serious? Like, or I said, yeah. The producer called me and he talked to me for like an hour, and at the end of the conversation, he said, I want you to direct this movie, and I'm like, he said, but I need you here today. I'm like, but it's Thanksgiving, so what am I supposed to do?
This was LT?
This is LT Hutton, yeah. So I went, and by that weekend, I was in Atlanta where we shot Vegas and Atlanta. I was in Atlanta, and then we started that Monday was prep. We started prep.
It was like, you right into it?
Right into prep. So we prepped 2 weeks and shot 4 days at the end of 2015, and then then the holiday came, so that whole time we took off to prep, and then we started back, I think, at the end of January, like towards the end for the rest of the movie. So we shot 48 days.
Oh wow! With that little break in between.
Yeah, but the break was the time I used to prep the rest of it.
Yeah,
to prep the rest of the movie. Most of the stuff that we shot, the first 4 days was all in the prison. So that was the very first stuff.
Oh, those were the first 4 days. All the
Yeah.
prison stuff. All the interview stuff with Hill, Harper, and him.
Yeah, all the stuff with Hill, the stuff in the yard.
So that was in a real prison.
Yeah, it's a real prison in Atlanta, Douglasville.
Oh, okay.
Prison, yeah.
God, okay. I thought maybe that was a shut down prison. That's a real prison.
It's old. No, it's a real one that's shut down that they use a lot for production.
Oh, got it. And it still works. All the gates
all
work
the
and
gates
everything
work.
like that.
You know, it's a little beat up, but yeah.
Amazing. So you had to populate. The reason why I'm really talking about that is because you had to populate that yourself. Because I did a thing with Spike. We did Malcolm X, and I was PAing for him.
Yeah,
we shot in a real prison in New York and didn't have to populate with it. So you had to populate it with all those extras.
we had to bring all the extras in. Yeah, some of them guys had been locked up in there before.
So they,
it was a couple guys that were like, "Yeah, I remember I was here," because it's a place like they bring you there for DUIs and all kinds of stuff. But it's a huge prison, so a lot of them were like, "Yeah, I've been here before," and I remember it was.
Well, hey, the authenticity.
Right.
Love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you're on the movie.
All
right, and you put the controversy and the past guys, before you behind. How did you really get into like what was going to be the important stuff that you wanted to really focus on about Pac?
The script the script laid out everything. The story that we wanted to tell was the cautionary tale of Tupac's life. And it really was the things and the incidents in his life that put him in the car that night with Suge. And because, of course you remember, and you shot a video for Pac. So
yes, I
you
did.
remember.
Yes, I did.
And I remember when we lived in New York, he was in New York all the time, and he just always was in trouble. It was like you hear him in the news, he got in a fight here, something happened at Nell's, just like you always heard this. This is like going back to like 93, 94. Yes. And it was just like you think like the guy's so talented, why is he always getting in trouble? So I never really investigated that part of his life until getting into the movie. I just know he got in trouble and, he things happened. And once he got to death row, it sort of took off. I remember Me Against the World album came out and seeing all the music videos, but he wasn't in any of them because he was in jail. Right. And so that to me was very interesting that he was sort of like the first artist that I can remember who had I want to say it was 3 videos. It was Dear Mama, it was Temptations, and it was another one that other people were in.
Yeah, he wasn't in.
He wasn't in, and they were hits. And so it was at that point, I'm like, wow, he really is, he's something, he's special. Like larger than life. And it's like, man, if he could just stay out of trouble, like he's going to be the man. So this film really examined the incidents that put him in the car that night. So it's all these benchmarks in his life. It's moving from New York to Baltimore because of the FBI and them continuing to be on his mother for her time in the Panthers. It's him going to Oakland, experiencing Marin City, the projects in Marin City called the Jungles. It's him being signed to Digital Underground. It's all these things that happen in his life that move him forward, but it also derails his life. It brings him to that moment. The rape case, the prison time, being shot, all that stuff. So it's really a tragedy, which is why in the film we talk. He loved Shakespeare. We actually visited his Shakespeare professor, his acting teacher in Baltimore. School. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, and he kind of talked to us about Pac.
Taught him and Jada.
Taught him and Jada. Yeah, he talked to us about the two of them and how Pac just had a flair for Shakespeare, just the words, and how he loved just reading the words. And so for us, like the film is sort of this tragedy. So we reference Shakespeare a lot in the movie.
And then to a great reaction too, because I think watching that, and I think people sometimes can get one tunnel vision about a rapper, so to speak. Yeah. And I think I'm so glad that you included that. About him, because I knew that about him coming up, that he was classically trained and all that stuff. And a lot of people just see, Thug Life, this, that, and the third, and don't know he had that side. So thanks for including that. Yeah, that's very important.
It was because people see, because he was very complex. He's polarizing and complex. What we wanted to do was with Hill as the interviewer. Hill sort of played the role of Joe Public. asking these questions with him in prison, like when he says, don't you think that the way that you treat women and that got you in prison somehow? Like, that's a question that the people would ask him, especially at that time with C. Dolores Tucker and all that stuff going on. So that was sort of the Hill was being used as Joe, because he never has a name in it. He's just sort of this. Yeah, he's just sort of this figure that guides us through Pac's life. But he starts off being very friendly, and then towards the end, he kind of pokes at him a bit.
It seems to get a lot more adversarial.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, with your just still keeping on the directing side, but also I gotta delve into your own personal experience, like the that scene with Ted Field in the Interscope office about the Dear Mama thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you handled that whole thing so well with the way record company executives actually act, and and that whole moment of having to explain yourself, your blackness, your existence.
Right.
I mean, was that already scripted like that, or did you kind of pepper it a little bit and season it?
It was scripted like that. I mean, the LT LT sort of with the writers put the script together. He's from the music business. He worked at Death Row, so he was very familiar with the way that artists, especially at that time, get told what to do, and in a label like that, So that was a very real scenario in terms of what music should come out and how you should, this is how we want to position you, and that sort of thing, which always goes against what the artist sort of sees themselves as.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, you covered that well. You covered that well.
Thank you.
Now, I mean, looking at it, on a whole, cinematically, and in thinking about the certain places where you had the camera and lenses you had on there to capture certain emotions from the actors, whether it be from Kidada when she was pissed, or whether it was from Jada when she was watching him do Shakespeare. Was a lot of that? Did a lot of that come just from you, or you? How connected were you and your DP? And your director's team, your AD.
Peter Menzies Jr., who's the DP. He shot. It's funny. It's a funny story about him. He was the DP on Die Hard 3.
Oh wow.
And I was a PA on Die Hard 3.
Oh wow.
Right, yeah. And I remember when I looked at his resume, I was familiar with him, but I didn't realize he had done that. And I'm like, oh man, I kind of remember him a little bit.
That was Sam Jackson one in New York.
That was the one in New York, right? And they had like 40 PAs on it, and I was like 38 or something like that. And but anyway, so when we spoke on the phone, I said to him, I said, I was on that job. He said, oh, okay. So when I hired him and stuff, I said, do you remember? He said, no, I don't. But it's like, all right, that's all right, because it was 1,000 of us on that. It was a huge job. But it's just interesting that, I would come from that, that time, and then he would shoot the movie. But he's full circle. He did Clash of the Titans and Hercules, and so he's done like some really big movies. But what I wanted to do was sort of in telling the story, wanted the movie to feel intimate because Pac was already this larger than life figure, and I think that in order to really touch people, it needed to be like almost like an indie film sort of approach to it, so that people could feel like it's it's the real. I mean, and we got Demetrius who plays Tupac, and he looked and acted so much like Pac, and was personified. So it was easy for us to, like, in some of the scenes, like, stay with him the whole time and not cut away and stuff because he was in it, So
he did an amazing job.
Yeah, he did an amazing job as Pac. He was great. So me and Peter, we developed this idea. I showed him some references of thoughts of what I wanted to do in different scenes and stuff. And so we went about it with a color palette and thoughts. And I showed him. I had like tons of references and stuff that I wanted. And go. So, but yeah, he was really amenable. Like, he was dope.
And your AD team, how did you work together with your first AD?
It was good. It was interesting. That was an interesting situation. We had a few ADs on the movie.
Okay.
Yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting.
Like, who was the most strongest standout in your head that stayed with you the longest, I guess?
Well, Van was there. Van Hayden.
Was there.
Yeah. Van Hayden came, and I got him on.
Towards the end or towards the?
For most of it.
For most of it.
For most of it, yeah.
Way to go, Van.
Yeah. And then you know, it's interesting because I could talk like that in this room because
This is
right.
the Directors Guild, baby. Speak it out.
So everybody knows, like, you know, ADs have the director's back.
Yes, sir.
You know, so Van had my back. You know, and so
good to know.
So it was so the problem comes in when producers sometimes feel like the AD should just be working for them and manipulate the director, but that's not the case.
Exactly.
Right. And
it
so,
should never be the case. ADs out there.
Right. And so that kind of is what happened. Yeah.
Well, that's good. That means you had a strong AD team. Who stood in the gap for you.
Stood in the gap
and
for me.
so that you can make, obviously, the film you wanted to make. The film we saw here. So that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Okay, now you said what? 49 days.
48 days.
48 days.
45 days in Atlanta and 3 days in Vegas for all the
3 days in
Vegas.
So all of it was pretty much Atlanta.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which was
so no LA at all?
Mm-mm.
Wow, some of it did look like LA to me.
Mm-mm. Yeah,
okay,
it was
so
challenging.
Yeah. Okay, and no New York at all.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Okay, I thought I was gonna, challenge you on which shots you did in New York versus Atlanta, and now I can't even go there because all of it was Atlanta.
Everything was Atlanta except for
which were the Vegas? Just the Vegas for Vegas.
The driving Vegas stuff.
The driving Vegas stuff.
Yeah, all the stuff in the rooms that was a stage in Atlanta. Even some of the driving was shot on a stage in Atlanta.
Yeah. And the Vegas was just the casino and
it's the real casino and the driving, him being shot,
him being shot out in the street and all that. And was that the actual casino that?
No, the actual casino
that was like Caesars or something.
No, it was MGM.
It was MGM.
And they wouldn't let us shoot there because they didn't want to be reminded of. I'm like, everybody knows already.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like this is where it was.
They didn't want to revisit it in their minds.
Yeah, they said that they couldn't do it, and they tried to charge a whole lot of money.
That's really what they were getting to, a whole lot of money.
Yeah,
because I'm sure they were not distraught.
No, but they definitely they didn't want the bad press on it because like you got to think like people come there and go, oh, is this where the Tupac fight right all the time? So they didn't want to.
Oh, that's I'll give them that. But it would have been great if you could say, oh, wow, they were brokenhearted. But
We
know it was really about the money. Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, speaking of money, $28 million later, like where are you headed? Like where do you think where do you want your head to be now? The beauty of it is, you've now just done, number 3 after Wonder Woman and Transformers, right?
Cars.
I'm sorry. And number 3, right? And so we're living in a world of the golden age of television, but boom, you just made this big movie.
Yeah,
you in the top 3. You were not even top 5. You were top 3. Boom, boom. So now you have your choice because you are DirecTV. You've done NCIS. You've done
Empire.
Empire.
Yeah.
So where does the road lead for Benny Boom?
I don't know. There's a couple things on the table. I will say it's doing a biopic for anybody out there directing and something. It's arduous because you have it's a difficult task to do because no matter what, somebody is gonna feel like, oh man, I should have been in the movie. Like, and with this guy with Tupac, I'm telling you, it was like
I'm sure your phone was
people,
blowing up.
It's crazy. Every rapper from 1990 to it's like, yo, what about my part? Even what's his name on the end of this song? Rapping Forte. He was on the end of the song at the end of the movie.
Forte wanted to be in it.
Yeah.
As himself.
Yeah, it's himself. But the
Forte
thing is,
like 45.
The thing is, he's on his manager thanked us for keeping that verse on the song, but a lot of it, I looked at it as everybody wants to shine, but a lot of it is people want the world to know, hey, I was in Pac's life, which I understand that, saying like, but everybody, man, everybody was like, so you're dealing with that part, and then, family members who, you never know. The funny thing is you never know what is really going on in somebody's family. You know what I mean? Like from the outside, it might look one way, and then when you dig around, it's like, oh, they don't talk to each other, or they're not cool. So right, so that part of it, and it's it's not even just with Tupac; it's with anything. Like, what was it, the Nina Simone film that came out, biopic, right? Yep. Which had got some controversy for a few things. It's it's that thing. I mean, Marvin Gaye movie still has not been made.
Still has not been.
And
well, they made one, and then they never released it.
Really?
Yeah, they
Oh, I
made
didn't
one
know
Marvin
that.
Gaye movie and never released it.
Oh, no.
Because of this, what you're talking about.
Because of the situation. So it's always interesting because the fans and the public wants it so bad, but then there's people who hold it so close they don't really want those stories told. So you always find yourself in a weird sort of place. So you just got to do the best job you can given the task. You know what I mean?
Okay, so we'll get to the future Benny Boom.
Yeah.
I'm staying on that subject though. Amidst the controversy,
Uh-huh.
we've heard all these voices.
Yeah.
And doing a biopic, we know everybody's so protective of it. How did you handle it, and how did you kind of navigate it all? And are you still navigating it now?
Yeah, there's some navigation. The thing is, coming on as the director, the politics and the business of the movie. I didn't produce the movie, and so the business and the politics of the movie were already set and in motion because like I said, they had other people on the movie before me. Yep. So those things were set in motion. So I didn't have to I didn't involve myself in that at all, because to me it's like, okay, this is ready, this is set up, let's go. You guys got this. The estate signed, and we got music and the likeness and everything that you're supposed to have. The problem though becomes when, again, a lot of people feel like you're supposed to make a special thing for them. Okay. So when you have personal relationships with certain people, you do that. You reach out, and there's only been so much you can reach out to somebody and then they respond or not respond. But then you still got to make your movie. You were hired to do a job. You got to pass that on to the producers and say, look, we're trying to do XYZ, but we're not getting any response. You still got to make your movie. You got to. So, with that situation, there was a number. Well, back to the biopic idea. So biopics, when you shoot them, you have to. It is a fictional recreation of someone's life. So you have to manipulate some of the events in order to fit within the storyline. Like I just watched what's the McDonald's movie?
The Founder. The Founder.
Mm-hmm. I just watched The Founder, and a couple days ago, and then I was reading about it, the real thing, and they had this article, and it was like the 10 unfactual things about the founder, right? And so basically, it was like, the woman who he wound up marrying, he actually didn't meet her at a fancy restaurant. He met her at a thing. Like, it's just all these things, but when you see the film, it's all constructed for dramatic purpose. So it's no different with this film, right? So I think that in one instance, Jada Pinkett took issue with how we portrayed the relationship or the situations. So in real life, Tupac left Baltimore, and he never got a chance to say goodbye to Jada, right? And so in our movie, we wanted to give for us to be able to have Jada be a force in his life later on. We had to have them as kids, the disconnect. We had to have the disconnect for two reasons. One reason is that you wanted to show that they were friends, and you wanted to cement the friendship that they had by him expressing how hard it's going to be, because Tupac once said the hardest thing he ever had to do was leave Baltimore and not say goodbye to John Cole and Jada Pinkett, which were his two best friends. We gave him that in this movie, in the film. So the reason for that was so that later when she's chastising him about what's going on, you understand the journey of their relationship. And it is a beautiful setting of these two teenagers who are friends, and they got to separate, and you just like, oh man, I'm ever going to see you again. And then all of a sudden they both become these big stars. Right. The other thing, when she does come in after the concert to chastise him, those events are taken from real things that Jada has actually said as well. But they happen in the script. Originally it was over the phone, because he was moving and shaking. It was death row. He was like all over the place. So she got on him a couple of times about that record in particular, and about how what he was doing, and how he was being perceived, and how he was acting. originally in one of the first drafts of the script, it was over the phone. So for us, the dramatic purpose of it, we brought them together in the first act. Their separation was like, oh man, you're my best friend. I'm never going to see you again. Now they're both at the height of their careers, and she's the only one that can kind of steer him back on the right track, which is why she asked him, what's happened to you? So for dramatic purposes, we had to put them together instead of over the phone. It's not as big of a moment, but it's not as if it didn't happen. Right. And Pac always read poetry. He wrote poetry in high school. So the idea that he may have not read that poem to her, but he read something at some point in time in their, you know what I mean, in their friendship. Right. So I didn't write the script, but as I read it and we shot these scenes, it became important. It's like, okay, these are benchmarks in his life, leaving Baltimore, leaving his best friend, but they will reunite later on in life when he really needs her, but he's ignoring her. And that, her walking out, him ignoring her, that puts him in the car that night with Suge Knight. So these are all events that tie all this together. So taken out of context, because she hasn't seen the movie, taken out of context is very hard. It's easy to dissect it until you see the entire film and then judge it, how these scenes play out.
She hasn't seen it?
She hasn't seen the movie. She saw those scenes. But she also saw those scenes weeks ago. It didn't just happen. Those scenes were discussed weeks ago. Yeah. So,
And probably even you guys reached out to her prior too.
Yeah, we reached out prior to, and the actress that played her reached out to her and talked to her and everything. So it's, I think, again, people have their own personal reasons for why they don't want to see something or do want to see something, and so, you can't guess why someone would do it right then when they had foreknowledge of it 3, 4, 5 weeks prior. So it's, you just got to roll with it.
And guess what? You can't make everyone
happy. You ain't going to make everybody happy. You know what I mean?
Especially with a biopic.
And,
but my hat is off to you guys for thinking about it in that way. And I think if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, I think she's the only one he said, I love you to in the film besides his mom.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe.
I don't think he said.
He says I love you to his mother in the prison.
Besides his mom, I'm saying, because he didn't say I love you to Kadada.
He says it to Jada.
He says it to Jada.
When they hugging.
When she's going up the stairs.
I love you too, Scrub.
Yeah.
I love you too, Scrub. Yeah.
And I really noticed that from the time I saw it. I was like, oh, okay, that's the only outside of his mom. I think you guys cemented that connection really well. Yeah. Between the two of them.
Yeah.
From childhood
to adulthood.
Which
only was like 8 years or 6, 7 years if you think about.
And it's amazing how their careers kind of paralleled a bit.
Yeah.
And how Jada kind of blew up in a different world.
And as an actress.
Became, one of the standouts on that show when in the beginning.
When it originally was Jasmine Guy.
Exactly.
And Lisa Bonet.
Lisa Bonet started off. It was really kind of amazing.
Yeah.
In that way. Okay, so now that I only have 5 minutes left, what is next for Benny Boom?
What is next is I don't know.
And what do you feel? And what do you feel you want to focus on, or do you feel like you have to focus on something? You still want to stay multi?
I think multi. I have a film I signed on to called The Shave. Which is I
read about that in the Hollywood Reporter.
Congratulations. It's an LAPD thriller. It's about a white cop that kills a black teenager, and then he goes to the father of the teenager and confronts him at a barber shop that he works at, and he asks for a shave because he wants to explain to him what happened. So all the community is there.
When I read, he's giving him a straight razor.
Straight razor shave.
Wait, he's gonna give him a straight.
Yeah, and he sits down in the chair and he's like, "Tell me what happened to my son," and then we go through the journey.
Blood starts pouring.
But that's it. And then
TV wise, right?
TV, some episodic.
Isn't there a show that you created yourself? I mean, a show that you're executive producing.
No, we're in talk. We're trying to get. So one of the characters in this movie, Nigel, is based on a real guy named Haitian Jack from New York, from Brooklyn, of course. And so he's from Flatbush. And so during the making of the movie, he was one of the several people that we had consultation with about certain things because he was involved in the rape trial, and he was initially pinned as the person that organized the shooting of Tupac at Quad, but then later it comes to find out he wasn't the person. But his story is interesting because his dynamic coming from Haiti and leading this life of crime. He was one of the most notorious gangsters in Brooklyn in the 80s and 90s, and his story is interesting because it tells the tale of a lot of people don't understand, and Jeff knows, but in Brooklyn at a certain time, there was this split between the African American community and the Afro Caribbean community, and so the show sort of deals with that as the family structures of the African American community, meaning the blacks that either moved up from the South or have lived in New York for a long period of time, and those that came from Jamaica and Haiti and Trinidad and stuff like that, and how the children of those immigrants formed their own sort of street gangs and identity, which was separate from each other. And then when the drug culture came in, you have these different pockets of Brooklyn, Flatbush, East New York, East Flatbush, Bed-Stuy, where these gangs sort of come up from. And he was actually one of the most notorious guys, which is why Tupac was attracted to being around him a lot, because he just had a lot of flash and stuff.
And he used to come down to the video sets.
He would come to the sets, a
lot of us knew him. And,
a lot of knew him.
So I mean, he's still alive, so we'll still know him. But yeah, he was always kind of around.
Yeah,
on the periphery.
He's since been deported to Haiti.
Is he in prison?
No, he never. He was deported. They deported him.
They deported him.
Yeah,
and he's just out there.
So we've been developing a show based on his. His life kind of takes us through this journey of New York in the late 70s, 80s, in the 90s. So it has some hip hop in it, and it has.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm from Brooklyn. That's why I said that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
It resonates with me. When I saw Biggie on screen, I was like,
yeah, right.
it always resonates with me.
So
congrats, man. Congrats.
Thank you, man.
Congrats. I hope that's in talks now.
That's in talks. We're trying to get that picked up right now.
Okay, so you got the movie and you got this in talks and other
and
episodes of television that we're gonna see.
Yep.
And more Benny Boom stuff will be all
over the place. Yeah, and we just
Well, we thank you for this, and thank you for coming out to LA to speak on it.
Yeah.
Benny Boom, welcome to the DGA. DGA, welcome Benny Boom and Tupac's All Eyes on Me.
Thanks for listening to another DGA Q&A. You can check out past episodes of The Director's Cut wherever you listen to podcasts, or on our website at dga.org/podcast. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you won't miss an episode. If you're enjoying the podcast, please like, share, and leave us a review. We'd love to hear your feedback. Thanks again for listening, and have a great week. This podcast is produced by the Directors Guild of America. Music is by Dan Wally.